Adventurers, welcome to John's Dungeon Corner. That's right. It's Friday, 1 o'clock at the Collective. Yes. Woohoo. It has grown. It has grown. If you haven't seen it, if you didn't see it this past weekend, the other side is opened up. They're still working on it. It's going to look amazing. Wednesday, they sat there and they started playing the Dungeons and Dragons games. They had the board games. They got, you got to come and see it. I'm telling you. You gotta come and see it. Free Comic Book Day was amazing. If you missed it, you gotta keep your eyes open for it. You know, the Collective's always doing cool things. All right. Sidewalk sales are coming up. There's just all kinds of cool stuff that's happening. So you gotta kind of keep an eye on things. Look at the newsletter. Check out the website. Come on by the store. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. All right. So let's talk about a few things. I want to June 17th. Okay, June 17th is going to be the big game day. It's a Saturday. I want to double check that date, but I believe it is the 17th. It's going to be a big game day. The game is going to be going on all day long. We are running a Dungeons and Dragons Grand Melee. It's going to run probably for at least 6 hours. We're going to probably start let's say about 11, 12. I'm going to double check with everything. I want to start like an hour after so we can kind of get things going, get the characters all ramped up in that. Hey, game day is the 17th, correct? And it starts at 10? Starts at 10. So we will start our end of things at 11. All right. So that whole Grand Melee will start at 11 and people will be coming in and out of it as we go. So I want you guys to make sure, sign up for it. I'm going to limit it. Unfortunately, the groups will be limited. I'll probably do a couple of different scenarios, but the first scenario kicks off at 11. It'll probably be limited to 2 groups or 3 groups of 5. I mean, if you have 6, that's okay, but it'll probably be limited to no more than 15, 16 players. We're going to have 2 or 3 DMs helping me run it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Don't miss out on it, right? Are you going to be here? You're going to be here. Okay. Yep, he's going to be here. Xanazar's cousin's visiting us for a while, so he's going to be around for a while, checking things out, kind of helping out here and there. All right. He's kind of hanging out, literally floating around, chilling, keeping an eye on things. No pun intended ever, right? All right. So as we talked about last week, hey, happy Friday, Sarah. Welcome to the show. Just about to get going here. We were talking about game day coming up on the 17th. Good stuff all day. So we talked about last week putting together an adventure, a nice, simple adventure to get everybody up to second level. Okay. And I promised you I would do all the math, I'd do all the work, and I'd come and I got kind of an abridged version that'll explain things really nicely. So here's what I do. Let me first explain what I do. Characters are going to go from first level to second level. All right? That's what we're doing. That's what this is all based on. I do the milestone. And for me, a milestone means that once they've accumulated enough experience that they are comfortable with their skills, and now remember, we're looking at it in an in-game concept, but we also look at it out of game. By the time the players get to second level, they'll have rolled enough dice. They'll kind of have a much better understanding of their characters than they did on day one. That's what happens because they've rolled the dice. They've looked at their skills enough. Everything will start coming naturally. And it may take till they get the second. It may be 2, 3 sessions, however many sessions it takes to get the adventure done, right? The adventure, the way I base my milestone is I figure there's going to be 5 players. All right, that's what I'm going to say. 5 players are going to participate in this adventure. That's my party. Excuse me. And so they each need 300 experience points to get the second level. Okay, that's per. So if I have 5 times the 3 is 1,500 points. So that we need 1,500 points, experience points worth of monsters out here to get them to second level. All right. So what I do, and I did this on an Excel spreadsheet, you can do the math. I just did it so it looked nice and neat for you. So when I show it to you on the camera, it looks nice and neat. Okay, so here we go. This is it here. All right, you can't really see it very well, but there it is. So what I did was over here, starting way over here, I got the monster name, the CR stands for his challenge rating, the room, which I left blank because at that point I hadn't quite numbered the rooms, how much each individual monster is worth, what the total what the total XP for that room is, and there's that 1,500 I was talking about. And what I'll do is I put the monsters in there. I'll start deducting points until I get to 0, as you see down there. So the monsters that I chose, remember we talked about this. I'm going to show this. I'm going to keep this here for a little bit longer so you can kind of look at it. All right. I'm not going to hold it the whole time, but there it is. All right. So now that you've seen it, I'm going to go back here and I'm kind of explain it. All right. So I had 1,500 points to start with. And you can always go back to this part of it and look at it because it'll be recorded and on the site. All right. So I have the Orog. I decided as my chief. Remember, I tell you, I start with my who's going to run this crazy down? Who made this happen? Yeah, it could be random, and it could just be a bunch of monsters that just made their way into the dungeon or the caves or the cavern, whatever it is you decide. Into the cemetery, they're just roaming around willy-nilly. That's okay too. All right, but I decided that an Orog, okay, and it's right here. I'll show you. I want to show you where all this comes from because all you need is a monster manual. All right, we talked about the monster manual, so now I'm going to show you how to kind of use this craziness because that's important too. All right, so here we go. We're going to go to orcs because an Orog is just they are like part ogre. Okay, they're stronger, they're smarter than the normal orc. All right, sometimes there's a gift. They say it's a gift from the orc goddess or something, but anyway. This is an Orog here, okay, right there. He's on page 247 of the Monster Manual right there. Gives you all the stats for him. And I just want to show you this is where the challenge rating comes from. You can't really see it, but there it is. Challenge. That's his challenge rating. He's a challenge rating at 2. So that makes that Orog. All right, but let's get back to the story. So this Orog has assembled, he's trying to get a war band together, okay? That's what he's trying to do. And so far, the Orog has enlisted 2 orcs. Pretty strong orcs, okay? And a huntsman type, bow kind of orc, and a strong spear fighter. All right, that's what he's in. As far as orcs, that's what he has under. He's grabbed these guys. They've seen the strength of them. Whether he bullied them into it, however you want to explain it in your story, that's okay. I say they're just impressed with him. He says, wow, this guy is smart. This guy is strong. He has a good idea. We're going to go join him. Okay. In the meantime, they went in and they found a group of goblins. And those guys, he just sat there and said, you're going to follow me. Knocked the chieftain around a little bit. The goblin boss, as they call him in the book, which all right. Well, like I said, everything is in here that you need. So the goblins are on page 166, the goblin boss and the regular goblins, which is all I'm using at this point. All right. So there we go. That's what we got so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put I'm just going to use this to hold the page. All right. Actually, I'll use this because we don't need this right now. Better yet. All right. So there's where our monsters are coming from so far. All right. So there we go. I'll just put this on here. Boom, to mark that page. All right, so he's on 166. The Orog and the orcs are on 246, 247. All right, 10 goblins. This goblin boss, after they got beat up and a couple of the goblins got killed, the ones left over there was like 10 of them. Okay, and one of them had 2 wolves. All right, so he has 2 wolves that he has and are with him. So part of this group is now the goblin boss. Oh, I didn't get my goblins out. Hold on. Let me get some goblins out because we can't have goblin warband without goblins, eh? All right, so here we go. Let's get some goblins out. 2, 4, 6. Here goes 8. 2, 4, 6. 8. All right, let's grab another. I'm just going to grab these miniatures randomly. Here we go. All right, so here we go. And here go the goblins. All right, I'll try to bring the camera over here so you can kind of see how this all looks. All right, so here go my 10 goblins. the two orcs, the Orog, Goblin Boss. All right, there they are, and there he is. Boom, with the giant wolves, with the wolves. All right, and then we got a giant poisonous snake. All right, now this isn't really part of the warband, but it holds a unique place in the adventure. Okay, and then we designed it to where I've got a couple pit traps and a crossbow trap. All right, so that's all on here. And now to explain the numbers. Okay, so the Orog Chieftain is a CR2, challenge rating of 2. He's worth 450 points. There's only one of them, so it's a total of 450. 1,500 minus 450 is 1,050. Okay. The two orcs are a half challenge rating, and they are worth 100 experience points each, which is 200 experience, which lowers that 1050 to 850. All right. I got one goblin boss, right? The goblin boss right here. He is a challenge rating of 1. He is worth 200 experience points for a total of 200, and now it's 200, 850 minus 200 is 650. The goblins are each worth 1/4 challenge rating, which means they're worth 50 experience points each. There's 10 of them. So this is where the bulk of our points are going to come in. So that 10 times 50 is 500. 650 minus the 500 leaves us with 150 points. Okay. That 150 points, the two wolves are also only worth 1/4 of a challenge rating, 50 points each. Two of them is 100. So from 100 from 150 leaves us with 50. And the giant poisonous snake, to round everything out, is worth also 1/4 of a challenge rating. So we have 50 experience points. 50 experience points minus 50 is 0. And that's it. And that's these numbers that I have here. All right. So this is the way this is the back. This is my back work, my behind the scenes work that I do. And that is a total of 1,500 experience points. Once they elude, kill, destroy, evict all these monsters, they will each have gotten 300 experience points and will be second level. All right. So there it is. That's the easy part. Now, and all the pages as you go back and forth, everything came out of here. The poisonous snake and the wolves are all back here. All right, so let's see. Where's our poisonous snake? All right, so there go our, here it is. Poisonous snake is on page, excuse me. Where are we at? Where's my wolves and all that? Wolves are on 341 right there. Okay. And the snake, a giant poisonous snake is on this page here. Here we go. On page 327. So everything came, all the stats for everything, the armor classes, their challenge ratings, their skills, their actions are all in the monster manual. All right. So this is a very important book to us. It's our encyclopedia of monsters. And there are others that we can use, but they're only first level, so I don't want to make it too crazy. So we're using the monster manual. All right, there we go. So we have our monster manual. Now I draw out the mine. Remember, the story is that this village, we'll call it Stonehaven. All right, we'll call it Stonehaven. All right, is mining a particular ore. All right, it doesn't matter the ore list. We can make it silver. We can make it iron. We can make it, if you really, really, really want to make this, no, because the mine's kind of big, and I don't want to do that. You can make it mithril or something along the lines. That's Now you got, but let's not do that. Let's make it silver. This is a silver mine we're talking about here. All right, and this village has an excellent craftsman that makes silvered weapons. I mean, granted, now most of this goes to the king. It's sent off to the kingdom because, remember, silver is a currency. And they've been mining this place, and now all of a sudden, this raiding group is taking residence in there. And the villagers, they have militia, and they probably have guards because it is a silver mine. All right? But these guys are not, they usually make sure people don't steal things. The militia's here to defend against bandits, sort of, not an organized, pretty strong-looking war band led by an Orog. Okay, so they've hired adventurers because that's what adventurers do. They go into dark, dangerous places, dungeons. Hey, Willie Arepa is on. What's up, brother? Anyway, so, and that's what they hire the adventurers for. So let me show you the map that I drew. Remember I talked about we were probably only going to have about 10 rooms or so. So here it is. This is what the map looks like on the graph paper. You may not be able to see it too well, but, you know, let me see if I can get the focus. There we go. And if you notice, I numbered some of the rooms, and I labeled some of them, and I put the monsters in where they are. All right, so now you kind of have an idea of the map. All right, there it is. All right, so with that being said, so now I have my rooms. Now, when the party gets you, because they got the backstory, hey, yes, there is an aura, and you can even tell them. It depends on how much role playing they do. You know, a lot of this adventure. Now, yeah, I have all the groundwork. I have all my monsters. I'll have all their hit points written up. All that'll be done. Okay, and how you do that? Let me tell you how I do that. Because I didn't go that far deep into it because a lot of this is left to you. I'm just going to show you the basics, the foundation. Everything else is up to you. You can use whatever monsters you want. I just use goblins and orcs because those are my favorite. They're great first level character monsters to run into. I threw an Orog in there and a poisonous snake, some wolves, some traps, but for diversity. But here we go. Depending on the role playing, will dictate as to how much information there is. I mean, if they just go, okay, yeah, we'll go take care of it and just go off to the mine, okay, that's what they do. Some players like that. That's okay. That's the way they want to play. Some will want to role play. They'll want to get better materials. They might want to get more information. How much information? That's something that you'll write down. So Godwin, the Smith, Xavier Godwin, that's the Smith's name, will sit there and have information because he's the one who's chased out of there. He's a dwarf on top of everything else. That's why he's such a great smith and can work really well with silver. Most of the silver goes off to the Baron, who then sends it up to the duchy, the Duke. All right, just for instance, that's how it works. But they get to keep a percentage to work themselves, and that's what they do. They get paid to mine the mine. Some of it they get to keep. There's a silversmith. There's a weaponsmith. They make weapons, silvered weapons, and they make silvered amulets or rings, jewelry, and such to sell. Okay? All right. And that's how this village subsists and exists and keeps itself going. So if the mine is under siege, then we have a problem, right? They got a problem. Now, Xavier, if they talk to him, will have all kinds of information for him because he's really been hurt. He's a silversmith and weaponsmith, so he does both. And there's another silversmith in town, but he's hurt the most because he makes the weapons. Silver weapons are very popular to fight lycanthropes with, certain creatures. Silver. Some people want. He can actually make a weapon, forge a weapon out of whatever, of steel, and then have the etching done in silver. So there's a lot of things that he can do. And of course, this is hurting his business. So he will provide probably the most information on this. The town elder will probably be the one who contracts the players. So I'll have him in there. There'll be an inn of some kind. Merchants, and you don't have to draw this out because what you do is you decide, okay, out of the player's handbook, you take the player's handbook, there's a list of equipment and all that. It'll tell you, it depends on what you want to stock in there, how much of it you want to put in there, basic gear, armors, weapons. Do they have every imaginable weapon available? Do they have limited weapons? Will they be able to sell silvered weapons? So there's a lot you got to think about in the background. All right. But the nitty gritty of it, you got to get them. The hook is let's get them there. Now, you may sit there and entice them. It's not always about money, okay? So you can sit there and say, okay, well, we're willing to pay you because this is important to them, okay? They want this done. They may be willing to give them 200 gold each, which is quite substantial money, all right, for a first level character to go on an adventure. But they tell them we're going to give you 100 gold up front, another 100 once the task is complete. But to help you, and this depends if they do any role playing. Once again, role playing. You can tell them, hey, they go and they talk, well, you know what? The church has donated 5 potions of healing that we're willing to also give you. Plus, we're willing to give you a 10% discount on any equipment that you might need from the general store. Oh boy. Now watch. So they're going to pay 200 gold, 100 up front, right? Because player characters are not going to start with a lot of gold. Okay. I think the rogue may end up with the most gold, or depending on what background they take, will depend on how much gold is left, depending on how you start your characters. If you have them just take it out of their background, or if you say, well, you have this much gold to buy your equipment. It is much easier if you just do it as a starting DM, if you just let them take the backgrounds and the starting kits that they get from the characters when they create, all right? So saying we went with that, you give them 100 gold, now they might be able to go buy the shield and the extra. Now they can, instead of a short bow, they can get a long bow, a heavy crossbow, whatever they decide to get. Now they can go do that. You gave them a discount, 10% discount. Whoa, that's pretty good. Something that costs 10 gold is now only 9 gold. That's a lot, believe it or not, especially if you only got 100 gold. You also gave them, as an incentive, a potion of healing, which can range anywhere from 50 gold all the way up to whatever you decide magic items are worth in your world. That's, once again, I'm not going to tell you how much they're worth. That's something for you to decide, depending on how, what the circumstances are behind magic items. Are they rare? Is it a fantastically magical world where, magical items just fall off the trees, come on, fall down from the heavens and rain down upon you, or if they grow on trees or whatever, right? Or are they rare? And my gosh, a potion of healing might be worth 200 gold pieces because that's how rare they are. All right, so, and that's just a matter of deciding to take common and just wipe out common completely and start at uncommon, go to rare, and then you can even put in another extremely rare, and however you want to do it. Okay, so anyway, depending on your world, there you go. But nonetheless, a potion of healing for first level character, they're not going to turn that down. In fact, they're going to be very, very happy to go and do the adventure. I mean, that's as good as gold. That's worth its weight in gold. All right, so they agreed to do it. They got some information. They know that there's a creature that's bigger. They know that there's a couple of orcs, and they know there's at least a couple of handfuls of goblins. They've heard the howling of the wolves, so there's actually some wolves there. So they've got an idea what they're getting themselves into. The Orog, now the way you can actually describe him if you wanted to, but basically just say, the best description is he's bigger than the orcs, but he looks like an orc. We're not sure what he is. He just may be a very big orc, a mutated orc. We're not sure. But he seems to be in charge. Or maybe they don't know that. Like I said, that's completely up to you. In my story, I would probably, I encourage the role playing, so I'm going to try to get them to get as much. I'm going to try to encourage them to get as much information role play wise out of the people in the town. All right, the miners that work there. And, you can just give them names. Pinky, and the other one guy's called the Brain. The foreman's called the Brain. I don't know, whatever. Have fun with it. Okay, it's your world. Have fun with it. Now, they trek up there. I did not have any encounters for them. You could have put maybe some wolves attack them on the way up, and that's really what that's what they heard. That's what the villagers heard, is that the wolves have gotten away from the goblins, and now they're roaming the hills. They encounter the adventures on the way, and what happens. But you've already accounted for the wolves, right? So you can actually put the wolves there. Here's the other thing: as an encounter on the way up the mountain into the mines, they could have ran into a giant poisonous snake. So you've got a couple things that you can do. I didn't do that, but I could have said, well, I decided not to use the snake in the adventure, because the way I'm going to use the snake is one of two ways. Here's the neat thing about this. So once this is all drawn out, there's going to be a part of the mines that have kind of collapsed. And you can have the ogres, you can have these guys, the orc, this raiding party have got in here in one of two ways. Okay. You could have had it to where they were out scouting, looking for a place, saw the town. They're like, oh, we need a place to stage from. And they went to the mines, decided to take the mines over. Okay. All right. Or, which means that people are going to know what's going on. That's that scenario. Or they may have came in through a collapse that opened up another passageway that was deeper into the mountain. Here comes these guys. You know, they were in the mountain going through caves. Maybe they got lost, whatever. And they came out here and they're like, oh, whoa, wait. Bam. And they decided to take the sword. So there's a lot of different backstories that you can have for the creatures. They don't know about yet. They don't know how quite they got there. Whether they came in and just took the place over. Because, I mean, the mine, yes, while active, is still a small mine. So there's not a lot of people that need to work it. So it was easy to take it over, right? Okay. You can decide that the mine is barely producing, you know, once again. Now, in my scenario, it's going to be a producing mine, a small mine, but it produces enough that it sends off silver to the Baron, raw silver to the Baron, keeps them to make stuff themselves and subsist on. All right. So the snake could have came in. So the raiding party came through the mountain, found this tunnel that led to here. Oh, wow. Cool. Maybe a cave, one of the shafts that hadn't been explored yet. They found it, came down, there they are. And then the snake kind of followed it. All right. And I'm going to get into that. Or you can use a snake, like I said, as an encounter on the way there. The snake's already been accounted for point-wise. So whatever you do with it, it's very flexible. You can use the wolves as an encounter. You can just do everything in the dungeon, in the caves, however you want to do it. All right. You could have a couple of the goblins that are in patrol. I had them patrolling the mine, but you can just as easily have the orc and the two goblins patrolling outside. They run into them, kind of give them a taste of what's to come, right? All right, a lot of different things you can do. So the first thing that I did with the map, you saw the map there. Now what I did was I replicated that in actual form on here, and there it is. That's the entrance, the entry hall. You have two big double doors. Once inside, you see that this room is like an entryway. I mean, it's massive. You know, it's 45 feet by 30. It's got single doors to the left. It's got two giant 10-foot hallways leading off into the cave, the mines itself, and a worked hallway headed off to the east. And then there's another large room, which you'll find out is a dining room. This one here. It's the dining hall. So this one here. Okay. That's what I labeled that. All right. So that's what you would have already drawn. Or you can draw it when they get there. I mean, as they're seeing it. So that's completely up to you. I would not recommend drawing the whole thing. There are times that I will use just one of my map boards and say, boom. Because there's one or two ways that you can do this. All right. You could go with, and then the way I'm doing it, they really didn't ask for a map of the place, which would have been the simplest thing. Hey, does anybody have a map of the mine layout? Right? In which case, that's when I use a map board that's already pre-made. Boom, I put it down because they already know they got a copy of the map. Right? But in this case, either A, they didn't want to divulge that. They didn't ask about it. Nobody really thought about getting it. It can happen. Okay? It can happen. And if I do give them a map, then I would just sit there. I could go, oh, well, here's the map of it, and then draw it big to scale. All right? So once again, these are your choices. Once this part is done, where the monsters and the map are made, everything else is up to you. I'm just kind of implementing this so that you can see how I would. But even among that, there's choices. Well, like I said, the snake and the wolves can be a part of this or an encounter. The goblins, I could have them encounter some of the goblins out there. A lot of things. Now, what I did do is here on this door, on this set of double doors, the goblins know. This Orog is, like I said, is smart. He knows, okay, that someone's eventually going to come. They have to be strong enough and be ready for them. So that's what they're doing. They're buying time, okay, in order to get themselves defensively set. So let me show you what they did. Now, I wouldn't draw this on the map because they don't know about it. So if their rogue is smart, he's going to come in here. These will probably be locked. He'll be able to sit there, and they may be barred, so they may have to bang him down. But however they get in, okay, the goblins have set some traps. They're sneaky like that. So this big X shows a 10 by 10. Each square is 5 feet. This is a 10 by 10 pit trap. The two T's are basically, they've laid a wire across that's visible if you look for it, but it's a trip wire. And what it does, or they may set up a pressure plate, however you want to explain it. But what happens is back over here, there's two crossbows set up in the wall. When this is stepped on, triggered, whatever, there's a small delay, and then all of a sudden, all you hear is two thumps as the crossbow bolts are fired. Okay, here they fall 10 feet, 15 feet, whatever you want to make it. They take some falling damage. The DCs on these, the wire one, because it was just kind of crude, or excuse me, the pit trap, which is just as simple. They probably dug it out and put something over top of it, and then kind of laid maybe a mat or something over top of it and try to make it as natural. This will be easy to spot on a 10 or better. If they look for it, now remember, you can use their passive. You'll be able to use their passive perception on this. But if they're actively looking for it, then a DC of 10. Okay. This one, though, is a little bit more intricate. It's probably a very thin wire. If it's a pressure plate, it's even worse. So I make that one like a 15. 15 either way, maybe. Depending on how high you want to make the difficulty, you can make it a DC 20. You can make it a DC 17. You can make it with a tripwire, a 15 or a 13 or something, and then maybe a 16, 17 if it's a pressure plate, because it's a little harder to notice. All right. The damage, the pitfall, you can make it like a D4. I mean, they're only first level. I'm not using anything out of the ideas. I just looked for traps online and decided, okay, these are traps. I want a description of them, so I did. And but this is actually, it tells you this is from the XGE, page 114. But there it is. This is what it does. These are the traps. You can find them. You can make them yourself. You can do all the work. Whatever. I use stuff. I have stuff in my computer. I just go and say, okay, here, I want this and this. And I print it out. This way I have it with my sheet. Okay. Now, you can describe this as the dining hall. There's two doors. I'm going to go ahead and just draw some of this in. All right. So here, there's a room. Okay. There's a door here. Has a 15 by 15. What is it? 15 by 15? Yeah. A 15 by 15 room. As you can see, I'm just using dry erase. I'm drawing this as I go just so you can see it. Okay. And that door is where? Okay, this is just an open area. Boom. All right, so I'm not going to run this as a campaign, but I'm just going to kind of show you. Okay, so let's say they got in, they triggered the trap, whatever happened. All right. Maybe there were goblins that heard them. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they got in quietly. They check one of these doors, and they find that there's another door there and an entryway over here. Okay. This looks like a barracks area. This will lead to like the area where like the supervisor, the foreman, and maybe his assistant slept, because there's two beds, and it looks like a table in the middle, kind of like a planning table. Over here are the lavatories, because they got to clean themselves up if they're staying out here. And the lavatory could be as simple as just they somehow hooked. There's an underground stream that they've somehow gotten water to come up. They made it to where water comes up and falls into a trawl constantly and then runs off and recirculates. However you want to describe it. They start thinking water. They got buckets. They throw the water on themselves. They clean themselves off. There you go. And over here, maybe little holes that just go down the chute, and that's where their waste goes, right? Because you got to go to the bathroom. If you wanted to go that far, you don't even have to. You could just wipe that out and just say that there's a water trial with water, whatever. Most people don't even think about that. I just added in because I think it adds flavor to the game, and that's that. I mean, that's as easy as that goes. Then over here, when they go over here, they see the dining room. I have a goblin with the two wolves up here, but I decided at this point, I'm just going to decide that the wolves, they encountered them. So they're either dead or run off, chased off, whatever. So that goblin's probably just out on patrol or something. Okay. So then comes the next big room, which is a 40 by 50 room. 40 by 50. It's a big old room. Oop. I got a little crazy. No, that's right. All right. It's this giant room right here. It's just a huge room. And in it is just a bunch of supply stuff. Well, there used to be a bunch of supply stuff. Maybe the orcs have taken it. Maybe they've busted it up. Whatever. But there we go. Now I added that room because that's where they're at. Okay, that's that 40 by 50 room. It's a storage room. It could have all kinds of stuff. Wood, stone, tools, mining tools, just wood to build more, hold the shaft walls up and that kind of thing. So you can describe that however you want. I just made it a storage room. And I'll make a list of the stuff that's in there if they really want to. Stones and wood and hammers and just all kinds of artisan tools where they can cut rock. There's shovels, there's axe pick, there's pickaxes and all kinds of things that might be used by miners in that. There could be food down in here, okay? Because these guys have a dining room, obviously, a dining hall and a barracks. So somebody stays here. So it could have foodstuffs in it, all right? It could have ale, it could have wine, it could have whatever, water barrels, so on and so forth. You get the idea. Okay. Then these are all, so what I've shown you are basically everything that was built in order to house the people who work here, the miners and that. The storage area maybe where they put things as a holding area to ship off somewhere, right? Okay, now, and I'm just gonna draw this one. And here's the neat thing. So the caves may look like, oh look, these are all this size, and I gotta make them perfect. Now, let me show you how I make caves. I just drew these out. I just said, okay, well, I'm gonna swing one down this way. So here's what I do. Oh, okay, swings down this way. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna swing it down. It's not a straight line. It's kind of like it's a cave, right? It's like I don't want anything too pointy, so I kind of round everything up. All right. Now the paper, this mat board sometimes makes it difficult, but there. Now what I do take care to do is make sure that the entrances are 10 feet wide. So see, this was a little smaller than what I had, but there it is. You can kind of see it. All right. There it is. That's my first one. I know that there's one there, and that's room number one. And inside there, I had the goblin boss. Maybe he had a goblin with him. Maybe he didn't. Maybe they run into, oh, there's an issue. They fight. Whatever. Now, of course, everybody's going to be alerted. There's a patrol maybe that comes through. I can't tell you what's going to happen because it depends on what the players do, right? Okay. I'm just telling you that in this room, originally there was a goblin boss, probably with the one goblin that lost the wolves, or maybe the wolves were never there. However you want to do it. Then from this, you sit there and you twist it up. I'm going to twist it up. I'm going to bring it up. And there's going to be another room that's pretty big, right? And then back here, because this is going to get narrower, this is a big one. This is one of the bigger mine cave areas. All right, so there it is. That's that area. Okay, that looks like here. And then I decided, oh, wait, I'm going to build another room back here because I got enough room to do it. And I want 10 rooms, right? It's not going to be as big. And it's only 5 to 7 feet wide. That's how they made it, because it was a smaller vein, maybe a pure ore, maybe a pure silver, right? This is probably the stuff that they send off to the Baron, to the Duchy, because they have their silversmiths that are going to create the coinage of the realm. Okay, that's not something a village or a town would do, but they got to get the raw ore from somewhere. So that small shaft here. I'm sure what I'm talking about here. So there it is. So here's what we got so far, right? That's what we got so far. The worked area, and there go these 3 caves. All right. So the pure silver comes from over here in the smaller one here. and the rest of it could just be regular ore. All right. So let me keep drawing this, and you'll see just how simple this really is. All right, so far I've got in that part. And here I had one of the orcs, probably with maybe the Goblin Patrols there. You have to decide where everything is, all right? And then the Orog Chieftain is in a small pure silver room because he's fascinated with it. I mean, they may know about mining silver, they may not. You know, when the adventurers come in here and attack them and try to rouse them out. They may be in the middle of trying to mine that stuff themselves, right? That'd be kind of crazy, yeah? So anyway, all right, so let me just kind of finish this up here. So I decided this is going to be here like this, and it's going to run up into here like so. As you can tell, I'm just getting an idea of what I wanted to do because I just wanted to know that, hey, there is, okay, like that. And there we go. Okay. There we are. All right. There goes that. That's that double. And then, this is interesting. Okay. So here we go. So here are the two crossbow traps. So I have them marked. Okay. And then here, and I'll tell you why this came about. Okay. This is a little bit more important. This one has to be a little bit adjusted. It kind of has to almost touch that kind of and then come back out like so. And the reason for that is, so the giant poisonous snake, right? I'm going to go with that. It followed these guys in unknowingly. They don't know that it did, but here we go. This is the newest chamber that I put up there. They found, okay, it's up here. All right. So all the way up here, you notice right about here, there's a double X. They've built a pit trap because, and to alert the players that there's something not good going on, you might have like a couple goblin bodies. And before they even get there, they'll probably run into, that's where I definitely have two goblins with sword and spear, with shield and spear, and a bowman that's guarding this hallway here. I haven't finished drawing the hallway, but it'll be a hallway there that has these two goblins and an archer because that's where the giant snake is back here. It followed them in. That's what I'm deciding it did. So it followed them in. And since I didn't use the snake outside, I'll use it inside. Okay, giant snake, poisonous snake, right? In comparison to him, okay, there he is. Look at that. This is him. This is my goblin. Here goes my snake. So the snake is being kept at bay after a couple of them. First of all, a patrol went in there and got 8. So there used to be more goblins, but now there's not. Dead bodies don't count for anything. So they're there. Okay, so that's the cool part. So they're lying. That might be a clue to the adventurers that something's not up after they fight and they try to get in there. Okay, maybe the trap has been sprung and is open. It's up to you. Once again, this is all left to you. In mine, I'm going to have it closed. The snake is figured out. You know, maybe it's been kept at bay by the spearmen while the others come in and put the pit in, and it threw a body. Oh, okay. So the snake ain't stupid now, all right? But its weight, it doesn't take much to drop the pit. So it has kind of stayed away, and they've kept it at bay. But just in case it uses the wall or something, it somehow gets over, there's at least a couple of goblins there that have spears and the bowmen to kind of hopefully chase it off. And we'll see how that would work out, right? Okay, so there you go. So that's how I'm using a snake. And I'm going through this kind of quickly. Oh, and those 2 arrows that you saw are the two crossbow traps. All right, that's where they set them up. Now, just to finish this out, there is, okay, so it comes out. And I like dry erase because I can just wipe it off with my fingers and then go wash my hand if I need to. Okay, so here, we're going to finish up with a partially half finished, and then we're going to have one more room. Okay, so there we go. And then there may be another orc, or this may be where the goblins sleep or something. but it looks like this. It's not a very big room. I can't change the shape of it, just depending on how I want to do it. It's marked, so there it is. Here. Oh, other side, John. Here. This is the last room. It's more like it's like an unfinished part of the mines, or maybe once again another small vein of silver. That's purer than the rest. So you might have a couple small areas that you do. You can explain it however you want. You can draw it. The idea is that here are my rooms. The entryway is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are the 10 rooms that I wanted. And I can use this as like that center part. You can sit there and go, oh yeah, that's like the place where everything goes off. And there might be a guard room there with the patrol. Once again, what I've done is I've given you, once they're done with all this and they report back to the town successfully, they'll have gained their 1,500 experience points to get the second level. Now, they may do this all in one set down. They may have to come back because they're getting beat up. Maybe they killed some of them, but the Orog still hasn't decided, hey, I'm not giving this place up. Maybe a couple of the goblins have been killed, so there's less goblins. Maybe they killed the wolves, they killed the snake, whatever. Until they kill that, the snake's not just going to go off on its own. They're going to have to eventually kill it because the tunnel behind it caved in and has trapped it. That's why it hasn't slid at all. It's trapped here. It's been able to grab a couple of goblins and eat them. And the snakes don't eat every day. They eat and they digest their food. And anyway, you get the point. So once they're done, and here's the thing about this. Here's the important part about this. It's set up already as a 1,500 point adventure. I say this, don't get caught up in they have to kill everything. All right. They don't. If at some point they come in and they beat a couple of goblins, if they get beat up, they're like, oh shoot, let's go back to town and relax and rest. They eat chuletas. That's right. Maybe these guys this could be a pig pen back here. This area may be where they keep livestock and there's pigs back there. And the orcs have been killing the pigs and making magical chuletas, which are pork chops, by the way, in Spanish. And these chuletas act as like potions of healing. I don't know why. Maybe the pig ate some kind of herb that's used in concocting medicinal stuff, and it heals you. I don't know, but they got the magical chuletas. No, I'm getting away. Don't do that. You could, but don't do that. I'm being facetious. Since my brother decided to bring up chuletas. What it is Memorial Day weekend. Oh, I'm gonna tell you now, I will not be here for Memorial Day weekend. We're gonna be at the Renaissance Festival in Atlanta, Georgia. He's coming down from New York. And there's a bunch of us going up there. Like altogether, there's like 15, 20 of us that are going to be up there running around dressed in costume and just having a crazy time. And there's this wonderful place. If any of you have ever been there, you'll know what I'm talking about. They are pork chops on a stick. In Spanish, that's chuletas on a stick is the way we say it because we're very motivated about those chuletas on a stick. So I told him I would bring them up in the show, and well, there it is, chuletas on a stick. Anyway, so that's where we're going to be Memorial Day weekend. There will not be a show Memorial Day Friday. All right. Maybe I'll do it. Actually, we're leaving Thursday. So I may come in and do the show on Wednesday. So we have a show because Dungeons on the Corner must prevail. All right. Back to this. Chuletas and arepas. That's what he's. We have way too much fun on this show. All right. So time out. All right. So let's say they killed a couple goblins. Okay, now these guys are on high alert. They come back, and now there's a bigger fight. Boom, boom, boom. But they still get beat up. They don't quite have enough oomph yet to get through. Maybe they weren't able to get more potions. Maybe they only got one potion. First level clerics can't go. They're not an energizing buddy. They don't get to keep healing all day. The healing will eventually run out, and you're gonna have to supplement it somehow. And you may just have to retreat. That's just the way it is sometimes. Okay, let's say they retreated a second time. Well, now they've killed enough of the ogres or the ogre's troop, the Orog. I keep saying ogre, the Orog's troops that he's like, woof. That was a tough battle. They killed they've killed almost all the goblins. There may be like a couple goblins. The boss may have been killed. So now there's only like a couple goblins, 2 or 3 goblins left, and 1 orc and the Orog. And he's like, you know what? He may decide while you guys are gone, if you guys don't set a watch, or they may just storm out of there, and say, we've had enough. Let's go find greener pastures. And they disappear. Well, remember, what was the mission of the adventurers? It wasn't to go out and kill. It was never said you have to go kill everybody. No. They wanted the mines cleared of the orcs and the goblins, right? They wanted to be able to go back to work. You've defeated them to where their morale is broken. They're gone to greener pastures. You've accomplished the mission. So even though they may not have killed the Orog, and what happens is if the Orog has some treasure, you might sit there and decide, oh, well, he left somebody behind in his haste and stuff. Maybe he didn't. Okay. If they killed the Orog, of course, if they killed everything in here, all that treasure is theirs that they had. Maybe the Orog was carrying a gem or something. If they don't, you may decide, okay, well, I'm not going to let them. The Orog took everything with him. Oh, but maybe the goblin boss, as he died, that he had hidden something, and now, how do you call it? The adventurers can find it or not. Completely up to you as a DM, okay, as to what you want to do. But there you have it. That's basically from beginning to end. And there's a lot. Yes, it sounds like, oh, you didn't really explain a lot. Well, a lot of it, how you run the adventure itself will depend on how the adventurers act and what they do and don't do. I mean, it's not at the far end of things, at the stretch of the things, through great role playing, fantastic roles, and some really interactive gameplay with role play from everyone. Maybe they go in there, they somehow beat these guys, the initial troops, so handedly that the goblin boss runs back and goes, oh my gosh, they've killed our people. They're killing my people. They're very strong warriors. I think we may have a situation. The Orog goes out there, he may send one of the orcs with a couple of the goblins to observe. I mean, the guy is smart. I mean, many an adventurer has thought that they're dealing with a dumb orc, and it turns out to be an Orog warlord, and they get whacked because they get flanked. And so anyway, so he sets it and he observes, and if the characters can once again, and now they've impressed the Orog in there, he's like, this could be a problem. This is not this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I meant to accomplish. He may come out, they may parlay. They may get something out of it. They may parlay for some of the treasure that they have. Maybe not. If they flex their muscles just right, they parlay. They convince that, look, leave. Because Orog is still nothing to sneeze at, okay? He is a CR2 creature, and that's why he's there. Maybe they can kill. They probably could if they gang up on him, but he's not alone, right? He's not to the point where he's like, oh, I'm going to get the heck up out of here. No, he's at the point where I may need to, hey, how's it going? Yeah. He may just need to step back a little bit and reassess and get out of here with what he has left. He may have mined some of that silver. Maybe he's got enough to go start the money to start somewhere else and do something. Who knows? You're the DM, so you would know. But in this scenario, it's up to you. It'll be up to you. And they negotiate for them to just leave. Okay, so they get up and leave. Boom. Once again, they've accomplished their mission. At the worst end of things, they had to fight their way in there and just have gotten beat up along the way, have gotten, just tore up. They might get this done barely, but they survive and they become second level. So there go your 2 extreme levels, right? Your 2 extremes. Anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. And I told you guys it would probably take about an hour, and it took almost all of an hour to explain it. But the important part of all this is the back work, your framework, as I like to call it. Okay, have this. Once you have your monsters set up and then they're what you need, you can distribute it and do whatever you want with them. Draw a simple map. You can always amend it as you draw it on here if you want to take a room out or add something or just make it smaller, that's fine too. That's what this is all about, enjoying it as you go rather than just having it set. And even if it's set, you can always say, well, that collapsed. There was a collapse and this part of the map isn't there. It's all rubbled and caved in. There you have it. All right. So just a reminder, the 17th, and I'll remind you again next week, the 17th of June, and I'll remind you all the way through it, actually, all the way through to then. June 17th, Saturday from 10 to close. Big game day going on, lots of games, board games and RPGs and all kinds of stuff is happening. I'm going to be running a mass melee combat. That's going to be a blast. It's going to start at 11. We're going to go till probably about 6 or so, depending on how things are rolling. All right? You have been informed. Okay, any word? You got anything to say? All right, now he's just going to sit there and stare. All right, so as always, may the road rise up to meet your feet and may all your adventures be successful. This is John from John's Dungeon Corner at the Collective in Altamont Springs, Florida, which you have got to come by and visit, saying, see you next week. Take care.